Good evening. Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Tonight, I want to take time to thank Sean and the gang over at FRN for giving us a place to hang out every week. Also want to take time to thank Jake and Ryan at Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co, maker of awesome kick-ass patches, whether it's the patch of the month or just other patches. Oh, and they have different other things you can get there too. So swing over, patriotpatch.co. Check them out. New things all the time. They just had a bunch of new patches roll out at the end of the last month that were freaking sweet. Check them out. So, I had my kids' graduation party on Saturday, so that means I didn't do jack squat other than that for the last week. Thankfully, it's over and done with now, and life can return to some sort of normalcy. On the bonus, one of the sons stepped up and took one for the team and got a job at Cabela's. Dad's happy. Mom, not so much. So I got that going for me. Phil, what you been up to? Nothing?
No, I'm going to pull a Jason Trumbo. Nothing.
All right. Travis?
So Buckeye Targets was invited to be a judge at one of our local, it's kind of like a PRS style shoot.
Yeah.
It's a big match put on once a year. So we went out there and gotta say that was pretty awesome. I think I might have a new hobby.
Like you need another hobby.
So yeah, I've been kind of looking at rifle options and stuff like that just to see what it would take to get into it.
So why don't you just do the 22 series, and then you can get one of the Rugers.
Yeah, no, I'd rather do this. What I saw was really interesting and fun, and
I think the PRS 22 series, they shoot 22s at like 400 yards.
Yeah, but that far, but there's nothing like that in my area anyway. Well, I know there's a couple. They're not. I don't even know exactly what you call them, but I'm just going to call them precision rifle style matches, and I know there's 2 a month that I know of in my area. So and then this match he does a big match. He gave away. Let's see. First place got a nice Tikka rifle and a dang nice scope. Second place got a nice scope, and then third place got a Ruger American 17 HMR and a scope to go along with it.
Ooh.
So, but it looked like a lot of fun. I took my AR out and I was hitting all the steel out there, so I was kind of like, yeah, I could do this. I can get into this.
Well, I'm not going to try because I just looked at production class. Yeah, Doug Koenig. Nope, not going to do it. Anybody who knows anything about Doug Koenig, he's a wizard with a handgun, for starters, and obviously he's a wizard with a rifle, too. Because his score was good old 300 in the last match.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen this in person, but I don't know if rules are different, but at least at this match, there was 6 stages, and at least I was on stage 2, so at least stage 1, 2, and 3, there was 4 targets on each of those stages, and, they only get 1 shot at each target, and it just looked like a lot of fun.
Was this in Idaho or Utah?
Yeah, it was in Idaho. I say I didn't run the scorecard. I was calling out the hits and running everybody through the course. But I know the scoring was different for each target from 1 point up to 5 points. So, like I say, I don't know what the other stages had on theirs, but ours was you had to sit on your butt and engage all 4 targets from sitting. And like I said, one shot per target. If you miss, you miss. And it was just, you had 6 minutes, which I thought was crazy because shooting 3-gun, we have a par time of 2 minutes. And there's a lot of running, and what was on our stage at that rifle shoot, if it was 3-gun, that would have just been a small section of a 3-gun course. So it was to me, it was kind of like a vacation shoot. It was just more relaxing, and it just seemed like a lot of fun. But I've been looking online at rifles and stuff, and thinking maybe next year I might add that to the weekend shoots. Bergara has a really nice rifle I'm looking at.
Bergara has lots of really nice rifles.
Yeah, I can't remember what exactly the one was, like an HMR Pro, and I just haven't picked out which caliber, but it seemed like a lot of the guys were shooting, at least 6 of the guys that I know of that I ran were shooting 7mm 08s. There was a couple of 6 Creedmoor. I didn't see a 6.5 out there that day, but there was several 6 Creedmoor. But yeah, if anybody has any suggestions on a good caliber to start off with, put it in the comments or email Mike at Reloading Podcast. Like to hear what you guys have to say on that.
Well, it depends on how far you're planning on shooting.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. The farthest shot we had on at least the 3 stages I know of was 500 to 600 yards. And I don't know, I think they had some out past 800 on some of the others, but I would say it's probably going to be in 1,000 yards and in. So I only did it one time, and I didn't shoot all the courses. I just was a judge, so I got to look into it some more, but it looked like a lot of fun. And I did get shipping confirmation that the Annie Annealer is heading my way, so I should get it this week. And I did just get a message from one of our listeners who's been listening to me talk about the 2011 build I'm doing, and he offered to send me a cutter for cutting the lug on the barrel. So thank you, Rex. I will hit you up on that.
Yeah, but just remember, as Paul said in the chat, it's not the rifle that's going to cost the big money, it's the scope. So.
Yeah, it's all money, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, they've got one July 13th.
Well, close to you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've got a scope I can use. My buddy's got a rifle. He wants to sell me. It's a 7mm 08. Price is right because it's free for now. And the only problem is I'd have to take off a scope off my 22-250 that I don't want to, but I'm thinking I'll just wait and get into it next year. Just kind of do some more research and pick out a cartridge I'm interested in, and that's just the thing. It just seems like there's so many good cartridges out there to pick from. Yeah, I haven't told my wife I'm thinking about picking up a new hobby yet either. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
So if you come on the podcast in a week with a black eye, we know the conversation didn't go well.
That's a little extreme, but
okay. You might want to clear off 2 of those Dylans back there so you have a place to sleep tonight.
It looks like Bacon suggests a 44 mag for shooting the precision rifle series.
Where's your target? It's way the hell out there.
Yeah, you're going to be tilting that thing like an artillery piece to get that thing to carry.
What's your angle of attack? Oh, about 70 degrees. You kind of lob it in there. Oh, yeah. Jim just reminded me. So, Jim Adad just said, evening, everyone. Thunderstorms here tonight. Yeah, same here. So if the podcast disappears all of a sudden, that's what happened. So
groovy.
Yeah. Yeah. Something in the chat that is worth mentioning. Well, first off, Paul asked how much I want to spend, and I told him nothing. But I have, let's see, who was it? Chris Sharp. He did mention, and I was looking at that. At Brownells, you can pick up a Howitt barrel action.
Yeah.
For pretty cheap, and then you can pick your chassis and stuff, go from there, and that seemed like a pretty good option.
Yep.
So it's just kind of picking your caliber, I think, is going to be the kind of the holdup for me for a bit. Yeah, the Improvido 13 said Bergara HMR Pro in 6mm. That is one of the ones I was looking at. Like I say, it just takes money. And it's just like with everything. How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? And I'm thinking next year is when I'll go down that rabbit hole a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What the hell? Stupid autoplay. Anyway. Jim said aim 2 clouds high with that 44. All right, gang. So we don't have a cartridge picked, so we're going to skip that. So sorry about that, gang, but we'll do one next week. Starting tonight, as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to get the questions and the cartridge for the following week set up, so it's a little more organized. Because lately Jim's been getting busy and hasn't been able to do it, so sorry about that. Bradley Reese said 260. So
yeah, 260 seems like a good one too.
I don't know. I've got a 6.5, so I've got that Savage with a 26-inch barrel.
They're kind of, you just want them all, you know. It's hard to pick.
Right. I want all of the guns.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. I'm typing too hard. I forget this keyboard's noisier than the old one. So our first question of the night is Scott M. from the email. Just settled on a Glock 40 10mm pistol for handgun. It's a Glock 40 for handgun hunting. Since I reload most all of my needed ammunition, I seem to be at a loss for hunting power loads as compared to Underwood and Buffalo Bore. I've been reloading most all of my pistol rifle ammo due to lots of published information, but 10 mil seems to be limited in recommendations. Scott M. Well, so he's hunting, I'm guessing, probably whitetail. I don't know. That was the one thing he didn't. The hell? Sorry about that. Anyway. So I was looking at this a little bit, but I didn't really dive into it. I say a lot, and Mark hates it. I should really start making him take those out. I think he'd drive down from Minnesota and shoot me, though. Wrong book. I don't think I'm going to find anything on 10 mil in the shot shell reloading handbook. Anyway. So I guess some of it all depends on what you're hunting for. Typically, though, especially in a semi-auto, when you're hunting, you want something that's going to give you good penetration. You're typically not going to have, unless you're hunting something that's, well, he could be hunting hogs too, but whether he's hunting hogs or whitetail, it's kind of going to be similar idea here. And you want something that penetrates, because if you get a regular standard hollow point, like that are designed for protection ammo, the problem you typically run into is either they don't expand or they expand too quickly and you don't get the penetration you need. The ideal hunting bullet, as far as what they've been working on trying to come up with for years and years and years in rifles, is something that will make small entry hole expand out really big, cause lots of damage, but retain its mass and its speed for as long as possible. So the problem is, if you're trying to run, even like a, say you want to go lightweight and you want to run a 150 grain jacketed hollow point, or we'll go 155 grain Barnes TAC XP. Your max velocity at your very, very, very best load is 1291. So it's going to eat up most of that speed expanding as soon as it hits whatever it's hitting. And if you're hunting deer or if you're hunting hog and you hit a bone, then it's going to slow down really bad. So in the Lyman 50th, they've got 3 cast bullets. So let's see here. What's the difference between the two? Oh, 2 different molds. One's got 1 lube groove. The other one's got 2. They're both flat nose. But the advantage with one of those is you're going to get penetration without, yes, you're not going to get the expansion, but you're going to get the penetration, the deep penetration you want. A lot of times, not necessarily all the way through. A whitetail you might, if you hit it right, but usually with a hog, just because their hide's a little tougher, you may not get it all the way through, which is a good thing, because you don't want to have to worry about that bullet exiting and going somewhere else. So that's kind of the information on that. Now these are all number 2 alloy, so Lyman number 2, and you're looking at a max speed of 1275, but you're not losing energy when it hits for expansion. You're getting all that energy transferred into the game.
What caliber are we talking, Mike?
10 mil handgun, Glock 40.
Gotcha.
The other thing you're going to want to check is local regs, because most states have a minimum barrel length for hunting, especially when you get into bigger game. Now, see, Wisconsin, because hogs are considered a nuisance animal, there isn't, other than their basic minimum handgun requirement, which is 4 1/4, I think. I'd have to look it up off the top of my head. But I know for whitetail, that wouldn't work. Most of your normal handguns you would go buy in a store will not work for whitetail, because it's over 5-inch barrel. So that's something you got to watch out for as well. Let's see here. Interesting. All right. Anyway, I was going to check something else. I don't see what I want, so.
Well, one of the things that Elmer Keith, the guy that wrote the book, hell, I was there. Anyway, Elmer Keith does have a good point when it comes to cast bullets, in that if you're using a large diameter cast bullet, you get the benefit of bullet expansion without having to worry about it, because you've got the frontal meplat of the Keith style semi-wad cutter, and of course you've got the cutting shoulder as well. So a lot of that energy is transferred right into the critter, particularly with what they call front-on shots. Entry into the chest, you go right, all the way through the animal longitudinally. All that energy, very seldom does anything go through.
Paul brought up another good point. Go harder on the lead mix.
Yeah. The only thing is with that, if you go too hard, you become brittle.
Well, I don't think he's talking a lot harder. So, but yeah, if you hardened up the lead mix a little bit, that would help.
Yep.
So.
Hey, Jim, so what did you do in reloading related this week?
Actually, the only thing I really did do was unload my truck, because I had to go camping and or I didn't have to go camping. We went camping, and I didn't want to take all that equipment and ammunition on Fort Bragg. It wouldn't be a problem if I had all the permits I need, but I just didn't have the permit, so I can try this. See if that helps. This helps my volume, I mean. But anyway, the thing is, I didn't want to take any firearms or ammunition or anything like that, or even shooting gear onto Fort Bragg. I just didn't need the questions in case I got stopped. Remember, there's a lot of routine patrols on Fort Bragg. So that's the only thing I did. I was thinking about setting up the annealies to do some 308. My neighbor's got some 308 brass, I think. We're going to try to take and, keep his brass separate, of course. But I've got that GI ammo or GI brass that I want taken anneal pretty well. I'm going to give it a good solid, probably. I want the stuff to be soft, not clear down to the shoulder.
Yeah, it's good you mentioned that. I forgot. Have you haven't set it up or anything yet, Jim?
No, I've got the propane bottles. They were out there in my camper in my yard right now as I speak. I've got the propane. I think I even have a regular propane adapter for a 20-pound bottle. I have plenty of propane. It's just a matter of, well, now next weekend I'm going to be out gallivanting about again. But the next 3 days I want to see if I can't do something.
Well, when you start doing that, Jim, send me some messages so we can kind of go back and forth. That I got a message today that the Annie just shipped, so and it's coming from California, so that should be 2 to 3 days to my door. So I think about the time you're starting to get going, I'll have the Annie here, and we can kind of bounce some ideas and stuff.
Well, I haven't bothered with getting any Tempelac or anything like that. What I'll do is when I actually set up and get the torch going, I'll probably watch the brass, let the machine spin the brass for a little while longer than usual, until I know for a fact that I see that dull grayish red color in lower light. You know what I'm saying, Travis?
Yeah.
When I see that, I know the brass will be okay. I'm not going to quench it or anything. It comes with a nice stainless steel tray to drop the brass right into. I could quench it, but what's the point?
Yeah, I keep going back to that we talked about the other day.
Quenching is for safety reasons, not for affecting the brass at all.
I know. I looked into it a little bit though.
Yes.
Anytime you quench something, you change its crystalline structure.
On ferrous metals, you're right. You're on ferrous metals.
Brass seems to be a little bit different.
Right.
But still, in my mind, I'm going to say if you don't need to, I wouldn't do it.
What, quenching?
Yeah.
Agreed. I'm not going to.
Yeah. And then,
the way I did it the first time, I did it in a meatloaf pan or bread pan, metal bread pan with water in it, and the brass was decapped, and I just stood them in there, let the water come up, kept gently pouring the water in until it was about 1/8 of an inch below the top of the bottom of the shoulder. And then I took a propane torch by hand, and I annealed one case at a time. That takes a while. But if I'm going with a machine like this, I'll just anneal it. We'll just pull a number out of the air. We'll say 10 seconds. I think they say routinely 5. We'll just say 10 seconds. Well, 300 cases, 10 seconds each. Yeah, what's that add up to? Yeah, 3,000 seconds, and it's less than an hour's time to do 300 cases. That ain't bad. I know it would have taken me, it would probably take a couple of days to anneal 300 cases. But I think, truthfully, I have 3 coffee cans full of brass that I wanted to anneal.
Yeah, like I said, I think it'd be good if we could try some very similar cases and kind of get an idea together so we can kind of look it over for the listeners and get some stuff kind of gathered up, because I'm super interested in.
I got to do something here, guys. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm coming back. Sorry, disappeared like that. This is what's called a iCross. It is a device for holding my iPad on a tripod. And what I will do is I'll have to take my iPad out of its OtterBox and put this thing on it. This way I can do video of what I've got going on. I can actually video live. Travis, we can do Hangouts right here. Only thing is, I can't tell you that it would record unless Mike shows me how to take and record through YouTube. That, like you guys did when you had the drawing, something little like that.
Yeah, but I think we did on Facebook.
I can also use the iPad to do everything that I could do on a computer, but the iPad is pretty good at recording the quality video. Yeah.
So for the listeners, I don't know how many actually watch live, but my camera quality sucks because of my internet. We're currently getting me some better internet, and I'm hoping to start doing some kind of like review videos, and one of them is going to be on the Annie, and I think Jim's going to do one on the Annealis. So I think we're going to have some cool videos coming up on this, but I got boxes behind me just waiting to anneal. I'm super excited to anneal some stuff.
Travis, over your right shoulder, are those die boxes I see right there?
Yeah.
Nice. That way you don't have to take and stack them on top of each other like I've always done. 357 and 30-06 or 30-06 always winds up on the bottom when that's the caliber you want. So in other words, 30-06 got its own tray now, or own spot.
Yeah, I think there's 10 per row. I got 4 rows over there, and I need to build some more for the rest of my dies. But yeah, the one that you want is always at the bottom.
You bet.
So yeah, I made that cool little thing so you can just slide them out and they're not sitting on top of each other, and that's been really helpful.
Well, that die box holder you have there, Travis, what did you make it with? Particularly the flat parts. Did you make it with 1/2-inch OSB, or did you make it with 1/4-inch plywood? Tell me how you made that.
Heck, offhand, I think I just went to Home Depot and got some some 6x. I'm not a woodsmith. I have no idea what you call it, but it's like looks like it's a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch thick by 6 inch wide.
Oh,
Then I
well,
just
like
got
1/6.
yeah, and then I just got just some square stock, and I cut those up, and yeah, just made little shelves out of it like that.
So did you rabbet the shelves into it? Meaning, did you cut slots in the uprights to put the shelves into, or did you nail it all together?
I just nailed it all together.
I see.
Just some finished nails. It turned out pretty good for someone who doesn't work with wood.
Anyway,
I liked it so much, Jim. What I'm gonna do is for all my brass, you guys can't see, but over here I got tons of brass. I'm gonna go to the store and get standardized totes, little totes, and put all my brass in that. And then over in the left corner of my reloading bench, I'm gonna do something similar to the die box holders, so I can slide in my totes of brass.
yes.
I don't know how many I'm gonna need.
I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about. Making shelves to hold the small, like shoebox sized totes.
Yeah. Yep.
Travis, can I ask you a personal favor now?
Sure.
Would you mind panning your camera, sliding your laptop or whatever it is you're doing, slide it over, let us see your right side behind you? Yes, I see something red to the left of the die box holders.
Yeah, those are my Lee for cast bullets. Over there. Those are those round containers for the Lee sizing dies.
Okay.
For cast bullets.
It looks like I see an AR-15 stock, collapsible stock over there too.
That is my Sega 12 sitting there.
Okay, good enough. You don't have to show us no more tonight. You didn't have to show us that, but I thank you for that. So what are you doing? You're actually sliding your laptop around?
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, so yeah, this iCross ought to help. Well, the thing is, Travis, do you use an iPhone at all? Oh, okay, he's gone. He's out doing something or whatever.
No, he has an Android.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mess around.
Well, we could. It won't record, but we could do something like Messenger Live. We could do video through Messenger, iPad to Android. But anyway, only thing is it won't record.
Yeah, we might be talking about like annealing. We might be talking about stuff people aren't too interested in, but I think I'm super interested in this process. I think you are too, and I think we got a good amount of listeners interested in annealing. So I think there's some stuff for us to explore there.
I'm interested in because, all my working career, I've been working with metal. And, I'm no metallurgist, but I just remember that one time I made a mistake of annealing some 270 brass, and I annealed it all the way down. I fired one round, and I ruined a whole box of 270 brass. Because what happened was the brass gave out. I'm saying primer pocket expanded. I got gas in my face, in my right eye, right through the bolt chip, right through the firing pin passage, right out the back end of the bolt. It's Mauser style action. Mauser style bolt shroud, I should say. And it's all hollow or whatever. The gas had no problem coming right to me. I'll never do it again. Okay.
So it seems like all the guys I see annealing, they kind of like you're gonna do. You just kind of throw a case in there, and you almost sacrifice a couple cases to figure out where your temperature is gonna be at.
Well, you remember, I'm not afraid to take and fiddle around with it. I could turn the machine on and turn it to the maximum RPM without a torch. See how much. See how long. Because I do want that brass to be well annealed, but I don't want to over anneal it, obviously.
Yeah, I guess that's going to be. There should be a learning curve on that right there. I did order some Tempolac to try it, to check out, but it seems like I'll just end up doing like you're going to do, just throwing some cases in there and.
Well, you see, remember I mentioned that dark grayish red color the brass will become when you get it up to the right temperature. Really and truly, that's actually overheating it, because really all you want to do is just get it. If you were anneal it by hand, like Jeremy Rowland told us back when he was still podcasting, he was getting good results with his brass, because all he would do, this isn't a cartridge, it's just a thumb drive, but the point, it'll serve the purpose. What he would do is he would hold the case by the head. He would put the torch right to the head of the case, mouth of the case, I should say, like so. And just, he obviously wasn't holding it by hand, but he would just turn it around in his fingers, roll it back and forth like that. And the minute it got too hot to hold on to, he'd drop it in the water. And he got good results. That's about as crude as you can get it. We all know how hot brass can get. I mean, anybody ever pick up an AR-15 cartridge right after it come out of the rifle? Yeah, so a few of us got scars. A few of us got scars on the neck when we were on the military range. Phil?
Yep. One right down the back of my collar. Yeah.
You bet your ass.
It'll wake
But
you
anyway,
up.
the point is, if that brass is too hot to hold on to, it's hot enough. The neck has been gotten hot enough. The neck has been heated up enough to anneal it. As crude as that is, hey, you know what? We got a Cadillac going on with these annealing machines. Anyway, we just commandeered the conversation, Travis. Hope that helped, Mike. Mike isn't even paying any attention. I think Mike's drinking some of my rum tonight. You drinking rum tonight, Mike? Drinking beer.
Water. I was nodding because I was about to cough.
I'm drinking iced tea. No, not Long Island iced tea either, Phil. So shut up and behave. I like that. You're muted, Phil. I like you better say that way.
Plug off, old man. I was behaving myself. I'm sitting here muted, so you don't have to hear me typing. I'm not bagging on you about how old you are for once. I was being very well behaved.
In other words, I just invited a bucket of shit.
Since you opened your big mouth, here it comes.
That's right. Love you, Phil, you rascal. Yeah, but anyway. We are brothers in arms. Mm-hmm. We are all brothers. And Second Amendment brothers, if you want to call it that. But anyway, yeah, iCross. The only thing is, I hate this thing because I have to take my iPad out of its OtterBox, put it on the tripod.
You know, if you didn't have an iPad, you wouldn't have that problem.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That thing is still going strong. It's 6 years old and still going strong. I can't even update the OS. I get it, but it's still going strong. You know, Travis, you got a point. I just realized I just might record the whole process of setting up the annealies and all that, and just, you know, fiddling with the wheels and the dials and the knobs and setting the timer up with cold brass, and just, you know, see how long it rotates and rolls around. And then once let's just, like I say, picked out 7 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever the number might be, and we'll just see how it goes. Because remember, you're going to put that torch point right about 1/16 of an inch away from the case. A cone, that's what I'm talking about. I say called torch point. I'm talking about the cone of the flame of your propane torch. You run it along the front panel of your machine. Follow what I'm saying, Travis?
Mm-hmm.
And you run along the front panel of your machine. You have that little cone about 1/16 of an inch from the side of the case while the case is spinning.
Yeah, I think that you should. That's what I plan on doing, Jim. Is I plan on doing almost like a unboxing, setting up video, you know, getting it all dialed in. I think you should do the same, so our viewers, and then we'll post it on the channel. That way, our viewers can kind of see. Because remember, you're going flame, I'm going induction.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. I forgot. I did miss that point. You're going electricity. I'm going with fuel.
Correct. And we can compare what's a little bit different on if we see anything different or just compare some notes. But I think you should do a video of you pulling it up, setting it up. So yeah, it's almost good you haven't set it up yet. So you can set your recording stuff up and set the machine up and give us all a good video of what it takes to set one up and you running some cases through. Okay,
excuse me for 1 second. My next comment is to the people over on YouTube. I'd like an answer. I need to ask y'all a question. Is my audio quality better? Is it too loud? Is it too quiet? I'd appreciate some answers when you get around to it. I'm running real slow tonight. No, I mean my computer's running real slow. I can't even get the YouTube channel to come up. I don't even see the chat.
They're a lot better than they were. I also played with your volume settings, so.
Well, all I did was just swing the microphone up so it's not so close to my face.
Yep.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. I see you, Jeff Kuiper. Thanks, Jared. All right, guys. I'll leave it as is. Appreciate it.
All right. Next question. Big fan and Patreon of the podcast and FRN. Really enjoy all your content and the banter. I appreciate your attention to detail and accuracy of information. For context, before I get to my question, I have about a decade of reloading experience, loading common calibers like 45 ACP, 5.56 on a Dillon 650, and hand loading niche calibers like 5.7 by 2.8, 458 SOCOM, and 45 Raptor on a single stage. Just bought it and breaking in a Q-Fix bolt action in 308, 16-inch barrel, 1 in 10 twist, and I run a Silencer Co. Omega 30 on it. I want to take this hunting this fall for elk. So I am looking to work up a hunting load for the rifle. What I'm looking for is bullet recommendations to try out and do ladder loads with. I was thinking of something in the 168 to 175 grain area, and I don't plan on taking any shots past 400 or 500 yards. My first thought was a Barnes TTX and Varget, but happy to take any suggestions. I want to try out a few things regardless. I have chronoed some factory Federal 175 grain match, getting velocities about 200 to 300 feet per second slower than on the box. Makes sense with the barrel length. Of note, I'm putting rounds on top of each other at 100 yards, so it shoots fine. Additionally, figured that I am taking shots at 5,000 to 7,000 feet elevation. Any starting suggestions would be much appreciated. Nick M. I was kind of hoping Trumbo was here because he's got shooting at elevation experience, but
well, Jim, this is probably up to you. What do you think?
Jim
sounds good, Jim. Sounds good.
See what happens when you talk too much smack? Run right into it.
Yeah. Okay. I said I have to actually read the question simply because I am struggling with this computer so much. Yeah, Mike, I'm going to buy it. But anyway, I'm struggling with this computer so much that it's just limping along. Okay. Hunting load for the rifle. If he wants to hunt elk, I'd suggest he starts out with at least 180 grain bullet. But he's going for 165, 175. And, well, I like the 180s. But 175, 5 grains, 180. I mean, who's quibbling over 5 grains? And that's a good bullet, the Barnes bullet. Burgers are pretty good, too. But that's up to you.
Yeah, and 110 twist will have no issue stabilizing. I mean, hell, you ought to be able to run up to 200 without breaking a sweat.
Probably, but the problem is 200, and I haven't been in the 30 caliber bullet market for a long time. Do they make a Spitzer hunting bullet at 200 grain, or does do they usually keep it to the round nose stuff?
Usually, by the time you get up into the 200 range, you're looking at match bullets. That's not now. They might make some 30 caliber hunting bullets, but I'm not familiar with them anything that heavy. Just because in a 308, you're pushing a rope at that point. But I guess what I'm saying is, a hunting style bullet of any reasonable velocity or any reasonable weight, 1 in 10 twist will have no problem with.
I agree with that.
The only thing I don't know is, because we don't have elevation where I live, how does elevation affect pressure and velocity? I mean, I know obviously like a change in temperature will affect a given batch of ammunition, but does ammunition gain or lose, chamber pressure when you increase elevation or decrease barometric pressure? I have no idea.
Well, I'm sorry about the browsing on the web. Okay, Sierra does make a Game King with a soft point bullet, and Berger's making a 200 grain. And somebody else, Midway USA, is selling a 220 grain, but that's a round nose bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like Maker Bullets is making an all copper bullet, hollow point, for 200 grain for 308. Okay, so I guess I need.
What is that? The new Sierra.
It's called a Game King, Travis.
Yeah, the Game King. What are they in? Just looking up on the reloading manual on the phone.
I'm just looking at the images.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that's sold by Midway. Spear Hot Core, that's a good bullet too. That's usually, I know Remington core locked ammunition is usually considered the cheapest ammunition it is. I'm gonna tell you what, it's some used to be some damn fine ammo. Yeah, looks like okay, I'm gonna hold this one particular image up to the camera. Hopefully it comes across. That looks like a Hornady bullet. If you guys look where the ogive goes onto the shank, it's got that secant ogive. It's a little more abrupt. It looks like a Hornady AMAX. It doesn't say what it is. It just tells me the supplier.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good looking bullet.
Is it focusing? Yeah, I'm just trying to think to myself. It does kind of have the look of an AMAX.
Yeah, it's got that abrupt shoulder. That's why I say they call it polytip. These are blemished, so they're not allowed to use the name. But I'm gonna tell you what, those are Hornady bullets. That's my opinion, not a fact. So that's the recommendation there. I like elk is a big animal. So are mule deer. Whitetails are small animals, and you can get away with a lighter bullet. But if 500 yards, you're shooting at a big bull. Shot of a lifetime. Really want to cut corners on bullet weight? I like 180, 200 gram bullets. That's another thing for you, Nick. I have a formula that you can use. You could chrono your ammo on your 175 grain match ammo. You chrono that. Then you can use that to get into the pressure as to how much you're allowed to take and push those 200 grain bullets and still keep the same pressure.
Did somebody ask a second ago about Sierra's bullet offerings and their hunting bullets?
If they did, it was over in the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it, Phil, what they had.
All right, tipped Match Kings, 30 caliber, 195 grain, and I'm looking down the list to see if they have something heavier. That looks like the heaviest tipped Game King Sierra has in their catalog right now is a 195. So they got one. Yeah.
Okay.
But they also have 175. They've got a bunch of soft points. I mean, it's Sierra. They kind of have something for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's how they make their money. That's how they stay in business. Is supplying guys like us with what we want. Mike, do you want to link to that photo I was going on about?
No.
Okay. Now, Phil, you said something. I tell you the truth. I went back. I kind of ignored what you said. I apologize if it seemed discourteous. No, it's, if I was discourteous to you, I didn't mean it to be that way.
You're fine.
So what did you ask me? Please repeat.
What did I ask? Oh, I mean, I'm sure we could all make some recommendations as far as like bullet and powders to throw around with 308 Winchester. But the one thing in this question I'm curious about and I can't speak to is does the base elevation the rounds being fired at have an impact on chamber pressure or velocity?
Absolutely, yes.
How so? I mean, would the lower barometric pressure from the higher elevation have like a 1-to-1 effect on the chamber pressure, or would it not be 1-to-1? I don't know, because I live in Louisiana and we don't have elevation around here. I stand up on a 30-foot tall hill. I'm looking at, I'm the highest person in the whole state.
Texas.
Yeah, 30 feet.
Stand on 30 feet.
30 feet in New Orleans. He's looking over at Texas. Anyway, the answer is absolutely yes, because let's just say, well, you're probably at what, 200 feet above sea level?
No, he's.
Oh, that's right. New Orleans got flooded out. Okay, you're below sea level.
Below sea level.
I don't live in the city. I'm 22 feet above sea level, and that's considered high ground around here.
Okay. Well, you're at sea level, 14.7. Shut up. 14.7 psi. You get up into 5,000 feet. I've been up to 7,000, 8,000 feet elevation driving. You can actually feel the difference in the air, meaning you have to breathe harder to get enough oxygenation. What I'm saying is the elevation causes the atmospheric pressure to drop a little. The air was being less dense. The bullet can fly more quickly. That's how the air affects the bullet flight. Now, to address your point about the chamber, the atmospheric pressure is lower. There's less resistance to the rush of the bullet going down the barrel. And yes, sir, the pressure does. It's going to be the same because the inside of your cartridge is going to be roughly the same because it doesn't bleed out, shall we say. It's not airtight, but it's not open to the air. It's a chamber. It's a closed sealed chamber with a mechanical seal, but it doesn't have a gasket. But your ammunition, if you ever accidentally drop your ammo in water, get it out right away and just dry it off and shoot it, because you don't have a problem with it leaking in. And the same thing with the ammunition on the inside of your rifle chamber or your handgun chamber. It doesn't really affect it so much in the chamber itself, but it does have a minimal effect, but it does allow the bullet to slide through the rifling a little better, a little easier. This is speaking scientifically, strictly theoretically, or whatever you want to call it. But the actual density of the air does allow the bullet to fly faster, which means less flight time, which means the bullet arrives higher.
Yeah, and there's some merit to that because there have been accounts from some U.S., but also some British snipers in Afghanistan. They were shooting off the mountaintops at a very high elevation, and they started to notice that they were definitely extending the range of whatever cartridge they were shooting at the time further than what they should have been able to because of the higher elevation, the less air density. I guess my only thought is, in a perfect world, this gentleman would be able to test this ammo at exactly the elevation he's going to fire it at, but otherwise, I venture to say he probably needs to, at a minimum, pack some extra ammo and re-zero the rifle at that elevation.
Right. Now, Phil, you just brought up a very good point, and that would be about shooting at elevation. Now, Phil, you've been in the Middle East. Okay. Have you ever been up in the high mountains?
Not the part of Middle East I was in, no.
Okay. But the point is temperature difference. Let's just say you might be shooting at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, warm ammo creates, hot ammo gets higher pressure, cold ammo gets less pressure. There's an old sniper trick, and I'm sure Mr. Nelson will agree with me that an old sniper trick is to get a few more feet of elevation at so many thousand yards. Put your ammo in your pocket under your armpit. Warm it up. Don't leave it laying out there in the cold.
Same thing works in reverse too. A lot of PRS guys, they'll actually like take a towel and lay it out, put their ammo in, and then fold the towel over to keep direct sunlight off the ammo. Because you're trying to maintain the consistent temperature of the brass before you load it in your rifle.
That's
Tell
right.
me that doesn't sound neurotic, but there's science in it. I mean, it's legitimate.
The thing is, too, some guys like me actually have temperatures, pyrometers, laser pyrometers, to check that ammo temperature while you're actually shooting it. Usually I shoot off of a bench under an overhanging roof. But, you know, it'd be worth it if I had the facilities. I do now. But if I had the time and so on and so forth, it would be worth it just to take a move 10 yards forward when I'm by myself, lay prone, leave my ammo in the sun, shoot a few rounds in the sun, see how much elevation changes. That's 200 yards. Now, granted, it's not 600 yards, but, you know, I just don't have that available to me right now.
God, that sounds properly anal retentive.
But it's attention to the details. And I'll tell you what, Jeremy Rowland taught us a lot about this. And I don't think you were listening when he was actually hosting with us.
Yes, I was.
Okay, good.
I've talked to Jeremy a handful of times, and I can't remember who I was talking to, but somebody one time made the comment that like how much they hated brass prep, and I actually made them go back and listen to that episode where Jeremy talked about the kinds of brass prep he does for the types of shooting he does, and I'm like, listen to what he does, and then tell me how aggravating it is to put your brass in a dry tumbler. It's it's neurotic.
There's a reason why they call F-class prone bench rest. And we all joke about the benchies, but you know what? They got it going on. I mean, you know, somebody shot an inch and a half group at 1,000 yards. The wind conditions were perfect and everything, but somebody shattered the world's record from like 3 inches down to an inch and a half at 1,000 yards. The wind was perfect, and he practically put 5 rounds in one hole.
Well, but the thing I point out to people who kind of sneer at bench rest shooters is put them toe to toe on any rifle line in the world, and have him shoot the same rifle as somebody else, and tell me he's not going to put that other person on notice, because they have theirs. You don't shoot an inch and a half group at 1,000 yards unless you have the ability to shoot that group. You take the rifle out of the equation. You can take the conditions out of the equation, because same rifle, same ammo, same conditions on the same day, side by side. Anybody that shoots F-class or shoots PRS is a damn good shot, because they can take, you can hand his rifle to me and I'm not going to be able to outshoot him with it.
Phil, I know a guy, I watched him take a rack rifle, ball ammo, in the field, 150 yards. We set up a military firing line using sawdust-filled sandbag. I watched that man lay there with a rack weapon, ball ammo, just as rough as you can get, fire a 1-inch group with iron sights. I cursed that man. I says, I hate you. I hate you. And I talk about people that don't like me because I can shoot well. I hate you because, and he says, Jim, I just pay attention to details. He says, Jim, I even pay attention to the way my feet are laying when I'm down here. He did everything exactly the same. That's why he fired a 1-inch group with ball ammo on laying prone on a sawdust-filled sandbag, and fired a 1-inch group with ball ammo. You can appreciate it because I know you've done it. You've been on that same firing line.
I didn't shoot that well.
No, not with irons. Anyway, boy, we beat that one to death, didn't we?
Yeah, we kind of chased the rabbit.
And you're not done yet.
Oh,
208
We're not.
grain AMAX, 208 grain Boattail Hollow Point Match are the heaviest I can find a recipe for. And,
Not for a hunting bullet, though, huh?
well, the AMAX would be. And technically, you could use the Boattail Hollow Point Match as a... It's about the same as a Match King, and I know lots of people that use Match Kings for hunting.
For elk?
I don't know if they've tried them on elk or not, but...
Sierra Bullets actually tells you that you shouldn't be using their Match Kings on hunting animals because
Right.
the bullet is not designed. But we're just throwing a disclaimer in there. I've shot deer with match bullets.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're just throwing a disclaimer out there that the Sierra Bullets says don't try it because they don't bond the jacket. The jacket is not seated to that bullet in the same way that it is on their Game Kings.
Right. Well, I know the AMAX is a hunting bullet, so...
Good.
So, yeah,
that's
208.
right.
The heaviest bullet I found is a 230 grain AMAX,
Wow.
but I'm guessing they make it for 300 blackout because I do not find any 308 data for it.
230 grain, that's probably in 300 Win Mag.
Could
Or
be.
something properly large. Because, I mean, that's the only problem with 308. And I love the cartridge, but you get to a point where more and more bullet weight, you pass the point of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
You know, you pass the point where the greater weight doesn't give you more energy.
Because you lose it in the velocity.
Yep. And throwing sledgehammers downrange doesn't really count for much if it, hits like a mosquito by the time it gets to its target.
Or if it simply just can't fly that far.
Yeah.
But the thing is, too, you got to take this into consideration. What do you want? Like we always say, what do you want to do with it? You want to shoot 500 yards at a bull elk? By golly, you better have a pretty good bullet. And you're going to shoot it with a 308? You might want to go back to that cartridge Phil mentioned. Or even 300 H&H or 300 Weatherby.
The other thing to think about is he's shooting this out of a Q Fix, which is 16-inch barrel.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we might be pointing him in totally the wrong direction looking at a heavier bullet because he's already starting out with so much less velocity.
Well, to give you an idea. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I jumped right over you.
You doubled. Say again, Mike.
So your test barrels are 22-inch, so he's losing 6 inches of powder burn.
That's 300 feet per second minimum that he's losing.
So
50 feet per second per inch. It's the general rule.
Yeah. Yeah, he chronoed some Federal 175 and said he was 200 to 300 feet per second slower than what the box said. So
It's funny how that formula worked well.
no, I mean I don't know. When you talk about trying to hit a bull elk, I like the idea of throwing bowling balls downrange, but due to have this short of a barrel, he might be right in the ballpark with a 175.
Wait a minute. We got a guy that lives in elk country on the show right now. Travis, unmute your mic, you bum.
Why is he sitting there with his mouth shut?
You live in elk country. Tell us about it.
he doesn't hunt.
I
Well,
don't hunt.
Well, okay, he's in better shape than me because I don't hunt and don't know what an elk looks like, and there's no elevation around here. So, Travis, you have the floor.
They're big, magical-looking beasts, but I have not shot one.
I've been very close to. I've actually been very close to an elk, and
I know friends. Yeah, I know friends that they use a 30-06. That's about as much as I can tell you.
308's kind of, honestly, for distance, unless he's planning on stalking them close, and close being under 200 yards. Even at a 208 with that 6-inch barrel handicap, I don't know.
Yeah, the guys in our, I know the guys in where I'm at, they use a 30-06 or a 300 Win Mag, and that's basically what I know.
Yeah, 7 rems, maybe some 270s is kind of on the lighter end of it, but
yeah, I haven't heard anyone.
Typically not a 308. especially if you're at elevation and you're looking. Most of the time when you're talking elevation, you're talking about canyon hunting or hill hunting, depending on how you want to call it. But basically, you're on this mountain here. Mr. Elk's over here, 300-400 yards away, and you got a valley in between you, or a canyon in between you. So, can you do it? Yeah. Are you going to spend a hell of a lot of time on load development? Absolutely. If you want to put the work in, game on. But 400 yards is stretching it. To really have the energy for an ethical kill on an elk. Whitetail, muleys, not so much. But elk are a bit heavier and a lot more bony.
Elk are about the size of are about as tall as a horse, but their body is about the size of a Hereford bull.
Yeah. Maybe not quite that thick, but you give the people the idea.
I've been very close to elk. I've actually touched an elk that was mounted, the head, and I'll tell you what, that front cavity or front chest cavity, it's massive.
We've got a couple of herds up north. I've actually been about 10 yards away from one.
Yes.
So they're not quite as wide as a Hereford bull, but so
they're up there.
Oh yeah, yeah. So 180 greens, you're gonna want to trade speed for weight in that case. So probably 180 green or so.
And you might consider moving up a couple calibers too, up to the 300.
I would probably recommend that.
300 H&H, 300 Win, 300 Weatherby. You can get 300 Weatherby caliber in rifles other than Weatherby firearms.
Yeah. So, that's just Spire points.
Or if you don't want to go that Magnum route, you can go with the .6, 270, 280, something like that. Now, it's 270, usually the factory fodder, 270, usually the max bullet you find is at 150 grain. I think I'd actually want to go a little heavier than that. You get right up against the animal, 100 yards, okay, more power to you. But then again, you were talking about, bullet construction, like Mike was talking about earlier when I first signed into the show.
I'm just looking at Barnes, see what they got. Since we're talking copper, SX are nice.
Yeah, those copper bullets are nice because they're malleable and they do not fall apart and they do not break up.
Yep.
They retain all their weight.
So it's got a 453 VC for the TSX bow tail.
That's pretty good.
I wonder if they have a TSX tipped.
Hey, Mike, you got to check the chat real quick on YouTube.
Yep. The guys in the chat are agreeing with us. Roughly 180 grains.
I don't think that's the comment that Travis is referring to.
No, that was not the comment Travis is pointing out. So.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you can get a TTSX, which is tipped TSX, boat tail section or ballistic coefficient of 484. So, and let's see here. Where's the load data? There. Loading guidelines, blah, blah, blah. Somebody else can read those later.
I found the comment. Elvis, you need to behave.
I don't think he knows how.
That
That was him behaving.
that was cute.
That's been one of the best things I've read
In a while.
While I'm waiting for the load data to load. All right, so there we go. All right, so load data for 180 grain, 308. You're talking max. Holy crap, those things fly. The LC2, 2690 at a max charge of 46.4. 748 with a max charge of 45.2 is 2660. The slowest one is our good old friend H4895 with a charge of 3930 or 39.3 for 24.53.
That's loping along compared to 2700.
Yeah. So, and that's pushing a 180 grain bullet. So yeah, that's going to help move. So yeah, I think 180 grain is about the sweet spot. They do have 175 grain also, Barnes does. And your speeds are a little more. You get up 2728 using CFE 223. And the bonus about that is CFE 223 is a cleaner powder. So, holy crap, they've got a load for IMR 8208 XBR in there. That's kind of a slower burning powder for that. Interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, but we're back to the conundrum. He's got a 16-inch barrel. He can't take advantage of that.
Nope. So, but I think he could roll with 175 grain, and make up a little bit. I still don't think with that 16-inch barrel he wants to try and stretch it up to 400.
Agreed. That's just too much. The thing is, if you're going to harvest an animal, do it well.
Yeah.
You want to stop the animal in his tracks, and you probably, if you do something at 400 yards, you may have a wounded animal that you're going to lose.
Yeah.
That's just cruel and inhumane.
Paul was saying to check on your twist rate. So that's the one thing we don't know is what its twist rate is in that barrel.
Yeah, it's 1 in 10.
Oh, it is 1 in 10. Never mind.
And from personal experience in 308, he'll have no trouble with anything from 165 up.
Yeah, well, they're saying because the nice thing about Barnes, every single load data they give for all their bullets, it says recommended twist, which is 1 in 11 or faster. Now in twist rate gang, smaller the number, the faster the spin.
That's right. The other thing is, too, twist rate is actually supposed to impart more velocity to the revolutions per second, not velocity to the bullet's travel.
Correct.
Revolutions of the bullet itself, which in effect will create more of a cyclonic effect as you go into soft tissue.
Yep. So yeah, I would definitely say if I was him, I'd go the 175 grain LRX boat tail, and I'd probably honestly I'd go that CFE 223 because that's your fastest mover. Since you know you're bleeding feet per second because of your barrel, I'd try and get all this maximum. I'd try and get the maximum amount of speed you can. If I was him, but if he's got a couple of powders on that list, play around with it.
Don't forget to use his chronograph too. That's your most important tool you have is that chronograph.
Oh, and I was wrong on the XBR 8208. That's not a slower burning powder. It's about the same as 4895. So. Anyway. So I would say definitely beat that one into glue. And we're going to skip number 3 because that's a really long one to get into. So we'll move that to next week. All right. Anybody got any shout outs?
Well, I will say hello and thank you to Jim Maddaw.
Yes, hashtag FW Arms.
That's a good one.
Facebook, MeWe.
Yep.
And Instagram.
For those who don't know, I forgot to put that in the one I just released. Anyway,
he just FW Arms just sent me a message today. He is already sending out those dies to certain individuals that have won or got,
Awesome. So what we're talking about is the contest that we're running with FW Arms, and it is where you go to, right now, we've got 3 we're doing. And first one is go to the Reloading Podcast page, not the group, on Facebook. Make a post with hashtag FW Arms. Second one is Reloading Podcast Instagram. Make a post, hashtag FW Arms. And then the third one is go to the Reloading Podcast group on MeWe and make a post, not a chat, but a post with the hashtag FW Arms. And then we're going to do a giveaway from each. So for those of you who are listening live, you should be able to get that done. All right, gang?
Yeah, the Canadian won last week live.
Right?
Everybody loves Canadians.
Yep.
Except Trevor.
Anyway.
He'll never hear about my insult anyway.
I think he listens when he has time. So, but at any rate, that's all we got for tonight. And just wanted to take time to thank everybody that tunes in live. If you're watching this, give us a like and subscribe. If you're listening to us, then we greatly appreciate that too. If you have any questions you want answered on the show, a couple of ways to get those to us. Email at reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Swing over to the Reloading Podcast page on Facebook, or the Reloading Podcast group on Facebook, or the Reloading Podcast on MeWe. If you have a question you need answered right away, swing over to the Reloading Room on Facebook and do a Google search. More than likely, somebody's probably asked that question before. So, and
the Reloading Room is 8 years old, so we've got...
happy birthday!
Not quite. Not quite. Three more days.
Oh, so you're lying about it, huh?
No, just premature.
Fabricating early birth. Great. You got a fake ID for that?
Premature.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
You have that problem often, don't you?
Yeah. 10:41 p.m. I created the reloading room on July the 5th, 2011.
There you go. An amazing, amazing thing it's grown into.
Oh yeah.
So.
It grows every day. Last week we had 100 new members.
Woohoo.
But anyway.
Yeah, and we also do have a text ability. You can text us or leave us a voicemail if you want to give us a call and leave us a voicemail. That number is 608-467-0308. And so for those of you who tuned into this live, make sure you're tuned in next week, because Phil's going to be giving something away. So that would be July 9th, 7 p.m. Central. Tune in.
What's he going to be giving away? Don't tell me. I already know.
You'll have to tune in to find out.
Oh, jeez. How does that work?
Look,
I'm not qualified to get a copy, am I? I'm one of those.
I'll give you a hint. I am not going to give away Jim's home address or cell phone number.
Just remember, I won't do the same thing for you.
You don't know my home address.
I do. I do.
You keep your mouth shut.
And I'll bet you anything I can find it within a few minutes too.
Yeah. All you gotta do is ask my pops; he'll sell me out.
Good on you, Carl. There's a shout out for you, Carl Rabelais. Good on you, buddy, and I hope you're feeling better, a lot better soon. You need to come back. We need you on we need you in the game.
Yep, he's on his way back.
Awesome.
Just taking his time to heal up.
That's good. So. All right, gang. If you want to help out the podcast, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can swing over to firearmsradio.tv and hit up the affiliate links. That helps the network, which helps the show. You can send us questions, emails, comments. Once again, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, 608-467-0308, or hit us up on Facebook and or Kiwi or Instagram. And we want to thank our Patreons who help us every week and just keep supporting us as we keep slogging along and helping us to continue to improve the show. Thanks, everyone. And on that note, Jason's a slacker. Oh, yeah, by the way, he was out with old man back. Anyway.
Slacker.
So, in my best Jason voice, be an asset, not a liability. Keep your brow shiny. Travis, it's your turn.
Get out and try some. I'm not sure which one I want to go with this time. Let's go with get out and try some powder coating.
Ew.
Ditch the A-locks, try some powder coating.
Ooh. I thought you were going to say something about annealing Annie and about annealing your brass. Come on. Stick with the program, you
We'll do that next week. We'll do that next week when we've had some experience with these.
Okay.
Buy cheap and stack it deep, everybody.
Take someone shooting. Join a gun club. Whatever it takes. Support the Second Amendment.
Join a pro-gun organization.
Powder coating rules.
Goodbye, all.